jokey. Edit this also. It's dirty. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to do your thing?
Hey guys, I'm Srishti.
I'm Reshmi.
And welcome to our new episode of Brown Tinted Glasses. So what have you been up to recently?
So, I actually caught up with one of my childhood friends after maybe half a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me thinking about just friendships and how I found them and the whole journey throughout. But yeah, that's kind of what's been in my head.
I mean, it's interesting, right? Even the way we met, it was very unusual. I had come to Canada and I didn't know anyone. I had no friends, I had no family. And day 2 of me being in Canada, I remember meeting you.
Yeah.
And that was because we have a mutual friend who connected us, who lives in Dubai. And I don't think when we met, we thought we're going to be best friends. Are we going to sit here today?
Yeah, probably not. Because I still remember not knowing anything. The only information I was given is, my friend is coming, make sure she's okay. So I really did not know what to expect.
There was also some sense of obligation, right? Because there was someone introducing us. I was like, okay, let's meet.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting anything out of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I still remember it was cold.
Yeah.
And we walked to Lucky Clover for some reason, which is downstairs.
It was interesting. I think we became friends a couple of months later when we met together to have beverages. And we just spent the entire night sitting.
Talking and playing board games. And dancing too.
We danced to some really cool
Bollywood songs.
Yeah.
It's not all of them are sad.
I only remember the sad ones.
That sounds like a you problem. But no, we really did. It was unexpected because I don't think I've ever made a friend, at least to the point where we are, goes that way.
And it was almost instant.
Yeah, it was that one night just turned everything around.
It was a flip point where we just okay, now we're friends. And then that's where our board games night started.
Yeah.
And became a tradition for a year and a half.
Yeah. We did that almost every other week.
It was just an unsaid thing where I would just call you and be like, okay, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was just an invitation of me coming over and be like, okay, we're going to play games now.
But it was chill. It was you almost knew that it was happening. So I never really worried about, it's Friday, I have nothing to do. Because I was okay, I'm sure she'll be there. We'd take Bailey out for a walk, for example, and then come and just hang out or talk forever.
I remember also when you were going to India to get married, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take care of baby. And we had known each other for less than a year at that point.
But that's crazy.
Yeah. And for you to trust me to take care of Bailey, it's a huge thing.
That is very true. Yeah. You could take care of me, not my dog.
Not the dog. The dog comes first. I think it just shows how certain friendships are just very effortless, right? You just meet and you connect and that's it.
Yeah, I think there's a beauty to it, right? I think at different stages of your life, you make friends very differently.
Yeah.
And I think the older you get, you really appreciate kind of low maintenance friendships almost where it's not, why didn't you text me? Why didn't you call me? I've had friends like that too. It's easier when there's no expectation and it's more natural. I wouldn't say I was a complete extrovert, but also I was not introverted. I think some of my closest friends, especially childhood friends, I was lucky enough that they lived on my street. So it was kind of unsaid that you would just hang out every evening. So we would wait. I still remember we would walk, we would get home from school, eat, whatever, watch Pokemon at 5 p.m. because key. And at 5:30, we would all meet.
Yeah.
And we did this every day for years. And it's really heartwarming how so many years later, because I moved out of India when I was 13. So obviously we couldn't continue that after that. But once that happened to now, which was many, many years, I'm still pretty close friends with a few of them.
Yeah.
My childhood best friend was probably my major motivation to move to Canada.
Right.
Because she was here. I was like,
wow.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And I think for me, she's also an example of like a low maintenance friendship. Like we talk once in 5-6 months, maybe even once a year. But when we talk, it's like nothing ever happened.
You like start off wherever you've left.
Yeah, and I think that's beautiful, and that's something that I personally value a lot.
Yeah.
But for you, you said you had the same friends, like so your childhood and high school friends. The same?
But like I moved around quite a bit in my childhood.
Okay.
My dad would get transferred every 2 years when we were in India, and then when I was in 4th grade, we moved to Dubai, and that was the first time in my life I like stayed in one school for an extended period of time, and out of that I got 4 friends. So you really know how extroverted I was, and I think it also had to do with the fact that like a little bit of teacher's pet and all of that, right? And those things don't really make you friendlier to other students, I guess. They don't. And I think when I moved out of high school, I sort of wanted, like I sort of made a little bit more of a conscious effort to get to know people.
Okay.
It was still harder then. To be honest, I think a lot about friendship from you were sort of a turning point where I understood how friendships or how to be a friend to someone. I had a lot of guy friends. It's very different.
Yeah, it is. I have a lot of guy friends too.
Yeah, right. Like you don't talk about emotions as much. And there's always filters that I would put. Like, I'm like, I don't know if I want to talk about this topic with you.
Yeah.
And they're fun to hang out with, don't get me wrong.
100%.
They're so much fun to hang out with. Like, they give you a different opinion that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. But I didn't know how to be a friend to someone where I'm there for that person. And I think you really taught me that. And that's why I think the friends that I've made in my adulthood are sort of like high quality friends. Because I feel like now I'm a better friend to someone.
Makes sense. It is definitely a two-way street. I think I've always found some great friends. My friends have really pulled me out of like a lot of stuff. I was alone here.
Yeah.
And I had a fever. I had a friend who spent pretty much every day with me just going to the hospital, making sure I was okay.
Yeah.
Not leaving me alone. And also, I think my experience with male friendships have also been slightly different. I am very shameless. I can just talk about anything. And my friends have really accepted that.
Yeah.
I talk about emotion to my male friends just as much as I talk to my female friends. I call them crying. But I definitely think it's different. I can't really explain it in terms of like emotion versus not, but there is a difference between the comfort that you have with a female friend versus a male friend. I feel like you almost don't have to think.
Yeah.
You just are there and they just accept it. And
I think you don't have to translate yourself.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, I know I've called you when things have happened, but I've not even thought about that impact of that event. And I've just called you and I'm like, okay, this has happened. And you're like, okay. And I was just like, yeah, okay, I don't think I've like thought through my entire process or emotions before I even like picked up the call.
Yeah.
Right?
At the same time, I do think like as an adult, the kind of friendships that you make and value are very different. Yeah. I definitely had a lot more friends at all stages of my life. Today as an adult, like looking back, I think from like almost every stage of my life, I have maybe 3 to 4 people that I still, when I say keep in contact, I mean like at least speak to once every few months. I'm really bad at keeping in touch. So it kind of, a lot of them naturally fizzled out. I really value my childhood friends because the journey they've seen me through, I don't think anybody has. But I've also like understood the importance of just having people in your corner. To your point of, being a friend, I think I learned that from my friends. And I've just been like extremely lucky that I found them earlier on so I could build more friendships almost over the years. So at my wedding, for example, I had my friends who came from like different stages of my life and it was so cute. But in your case, you moved a lot. In my case, I didn't do that. So how was that for you, moving and like trying to maintain these friendships?
I think I'm better at maintaining friendships now. One, because I know I'm the one moving. So in my head, I know I'm the one who has to make a little bit more effort. Fair? So I have to be the one to pick up the call first and pick up my phone first and be like, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think I've made up my peace with it. I don't really fully expect why didn't the other person call. Unless like, it's very different if they're not responding to you. But like, I'm okay to pick up the phone first.
Yeah.
But making friends as an adult is really hard. Like, I did my MBA as an adult, which is easy to make friends over there, right? Like, you're surrounded with 200 people, sort of the similar personalities, similar goals, similar-ish mindset, and you all have, like, you're high on energy. And you're out there, you want to network, you want to make friends, and
Yeah.
it's just sort of like it falls into your lap almost.
So it's a new environment for pretty much most of you.
Everyone, they're all out there.
Yeah.
They've not lived in Cambridge. None of us ever lived in Cambridge before. So we were all just like, hey, let's go out, let's meet. And everyone was down to do that. So it was almost easy and effortless to make friends. It didn't require that much effort. But I think when I moved to Canada, that was hard. Like, I didn't know anyone. And I got lucky where I met you and then I met your friends. And I had some friends from high school who moved and I met them 10 years later and stuff like that. But a lot of it required me to put myself out of my comfort zone. I grew up very introverted, which I think now has changed completely. But like it required, like I live within my radius. Okay, I don't go beyond my radius.
This is very true.
It's very much in the radius.
It's a 5-block radius.
Yes, I hang out there. I live there. All my activities happen in that radius. But I had to go beyond that. Like, I had to ask. Like I had to just like hang out with people in their radius. It just made me understand like adult friendships require a lot more. Like it's not just based on, hey, do you want to hang out?
Yeah.
Those are not friendships almost. Like you have to give a lot. You have to get to know their issues. You have to get to know their emotional problems. You have to just almost be a friend therapist of sorts.
Yeah.
And just open up to a level that you haven't. And that's when you like sort of understand, okay, this is a friend.
Yeah.
Because as an adult, you sort of go through different stages in life, go through different problems. And only when you're able to like fully be transparent with someone, I would believe that you're a friend. Since I've moved back from UK to here, I've sort of been a little bit conscious about trying to make friends again here. So something that I do is I go for a lot of like alumni events that we have.
Yeah.
Or any sort of events that would happen. I try to go for it alone. Just because I know if I go with someone or if I go with you, we will just end up talking the entire night.
Yeah.
Right?
Comfort zone.
It's comfort zone. So I just make sure I go for a lot of events and I make sure I go for those alone. I know I will have to talk to someone.
But that is a great way. I've had so many people, again, I work in recruiting, which means a lot of people who are new to the country connect with me. And one of their questions is that, how do we meet people? How do we make friends? And I always tell them, events are a great way. And I think just like you're doing it, whether it's LMI or finding a common ground.
Yeah.
And then just going for it. Putting yourself as far out of the comfort zone, which is easier said than done.
It is not easy.
Like,
I know I text you before I go and I'm just like, before I get into a room and I'm just like, oh God, guys, there are too many people here. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I know people who have gotten on Bumble BFF and sort of made friends.
I've heard of the Percy, I've never tried it.
Same.
But I've definitely heard of like stories.
Yeah.
Especially success stories, which is very cool. It's almost like DMing someone randomly on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then becoming friends with them. But anyone else, I don't think I could ever DM someone and be like, hey, how are you? I know people who can, and honestly,
I don't think I can. I think what I do is go to events. But what I've noticed recently as well, like one of the coffee shops that we went to, and I think because it was a little bit of like co-working-ish, sort of like people coming in, just sitting and having fun and like working, that sort of a vibe was very different. I saw a couple of people just like sitting and talking to the person next to them, just like turning and talking 5 to 10 minutes. It's so cool. Right? And I think people are doing that. I think you just have to be the right places.
Yeah, and I think in a place like Toronto, it's sometimes difficult to know the right places. Like you can find a list of coffee shops.
Yeah, but not every place.
But not every coffee. Yeah, and some places are catered to a different type of crowd, and rightfully so. But like at finding those right places and even finding like the right meetup groups.
Oh yeah.
I'm personally not the only meetups I've gone to are networking events for work.
Yeah.
But I know people who go for like snowshoeing and hiking and they find their tribe over there, which amazing. I'd be terrified of them.
I mean, I guess like I think it's just like putting yourself out there, like we say, right? Like either you find, like in that case was like a mutual friend. And I've also like met people like mutual friends. Like it's a way of connection, but just because we live away from home, we just happen to meet. And like sometimes you hit it off. You're like, okay, you know what? You have no friends. I have no friends. we can be friends together.
I don't know if it's that sad all the time. But
But
okay.
it's just because I've met people who've moved into the country as well at
Yes.
around the same time as me, and I'm just like, okay, we both don't know anything
Yeah.
about this place, so why don't we just be friends and like get to know things around?
Yeah, I think that's also a great way to,
Yeah.
and also gives you a bunch of activities to do because suddenly it's like I don't have to do them alone, so
Right.
it's all
Yeah.
not as daunting as it
Yeah.
was before.
But I think it's so important to like have fulfilling adult friendships. Like now, I feel like come what may and whatever, right? Like whoever the person that I meet in my life or the partner or everything, I was just like, that person has to understand the importance of friends in my life. Just because I know I have high quality friends and I know these are the people I want them in my life forever.
Yeah.
When you have that sort of a mental support, there's very little thing you're like who's gonna shake you. You're just almost like, okay, you know what? I have like 10 people behind me. You are not there, it's fine. And it's just almost very like a superpower in its own way.
Yeah, I always said, I think I told my cousin this recently. The toughest thing to do is actually just be lonely. Having a good group of friends, honestly, is more than a blessing.
Yeah.
It's, we all have tough days, whether it's work, whether it's personal life, whether it's school, whatever might be happening. We all have like good days and bad days, but having a group of friends where you can rant to. I have friends who were very okay with me just calling and going off on like a monologue for 15 minutes if I have to.
Yeah.
Who would listen to me for that 15 minutes instead of putting the phone and walking away.
Yeah.
But knowing that you have that support system in place, I think also gives you the ability to push yourself more and put yourself in those situations where you're out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because you can go home and then text like these 4 or 5 people and you feel safe all over again.
Yeah.
It is family away from family.
True.
We all miss our family. We're all away from our family. And it is one of the toughest things to do.
It is. Like I've called you asking about salt and I did not know how to live as an adult alone. I don't have to hide any part of like, oh, I'm struggling and I have to pretend that I know this. Like I don't have ever done that.
No. I think we've had full on breakdowns.
a lot. A lot in my opinion.
It's part of life. Having breakdowns sometimes is healthy. Sometimes. Maybe not to the extent that we do it, but
that's true.
Yeah.
But like I moved here and then I moved out and I moved back. Like staying in touch was also a thing. Like I know we had a group chat that really made it easier for us because we would talk pretty much every day. Every day.
Yeah, I'm actually very bad at it. Texting people first and calling people first. Like I'm a class A overthinker.
I sometimes when I'm commuting, I open my WhatsApp, I look at the entire list and I'll text like a bunch of people.
That's
and
nice.
That just starts the conversation. When they respond, I'll respond as and when I have time.
Yeah.
But it just happens. And I try to on the weekends, maybe if I get time, alternate or something, like talk to someone once in a month.
That's really nice. I do live in my own little bubble.
But I think it's also like, I know I'm the one who's like sort of away from everyone.
No, but it's so important. Honestly, again, like I said, I've been very lucky. I've had some great friends and a lot of them I've just lost in touch with. Friendships are important.
But you need to let it out. You need to have an outlet where you feel like, hey, listen, I'm not feeling this. And you can just be unfiltered.
Yeah, I think that's so true.
Version, unfiltered version. And there are people, like you need to have that version where someone knows you in that capacity.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, the ultimate peak of friendship is when you can both sit in a room, absolutely not say a word to each other, and still feel like, yeah, this was great.
This is great. Like,
let's do it again.
I've come to her house and we've watched some trash TV and I've left.
I have introduced her to a lot of reality TV. This
and
is true.
I was like, we did nothing except watch and maybe pet Bailey.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, I'm going to go now.
The ease of doing that, I think, is crucial. And I think is what we appreciate a lot more as we grow.
Because there's so much of a persona that you have to put at work.
Mm-hmm.
You want to come back and you want to just be like, hey, like, this is me at the end of the day. I could be chaotic, I could be sensible, I could be smart, and I could be dumb at the same time. And this is my most raw version.
Sometimes it all happens in 5 minutes, and that's okay too.
That's fine. Like, I really truly believe like there are 2 kinds of people that you would meet. One that sort of like helps you to grow as a person, right? Like, maybe you look at them and you get inspired and you're like, oh, I want to learn something that they're doing. which is great. And then there's a second kind of people which sort of fills your soul, which fills your cup,
That's
which
cute.
is just for you, for your soul, for your happiness.
Yes.
You don't have to learn anything from them. Not everything is give or take.
No.
You're just with them because you just love them and they love you. And I think that second kind of people, you need to have that in your life.
It's important. Usually it's like family.
Hmm.
And then you have this adding on, like it's a core support system
Right.
for whatever life throws your way. And it's key. It's key so it's important to put yourself out there and find those people.
Yeah.
Just as much as it is for you to maintain, I think, those friendships.
Yeah.
Tell us the most awkward way or unexpected way that you've met somebody. We'd love to hear your stories, and I'm sure we have a few funny ones as well.
Yeah.
But we'd love to know about that.
And see you in the next one.
Bye.